The arrest announced today showcases the remarkable outcomes that are achievable through collaborative task force partnerships.
Tonight, a man is in custody accused of carrying out last week's targeted attack at a Tesla service center in Las Vegas. Good evening. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. The suspect, 36-year-old Paul Kim, is being held in federal custody tonight after a brief court appearance this afternoon. Authorities say he used Molotov cocktails to set fire to several Teslas. Today, authorities released new surveillance video of that attack. Investigators say Kim, who lives in Las Vegas, can be seen firing guns at the Tesla Collision Center, spray painting the word resist on a building, and also setting fire to cars. Kim is facing 10 felony charges and 5 misdemeanors, and he faces up to 20 years in prison if convicted. Investigators say teamwork and technology helped them track him down at the Venetian Resort and Casino yesterday.
The technology is actually what helped solve this. In particular, I want to highlight a number of those technologies, which is our Flock license plate reader systems, which gave us our first clue, our Skydio drone technology, our digital forensics lab, and all of the things that they do with cell phones and a number of other aspects of technology, the public safety cameras that we have deployed around our community, our ability to go in and scrub social media through the tools that are provided with technology, forensic analysis of DNA. Put the exclamation point on this case. His DNA matched what we took from the scene.
Investigators say they're working to determine whether Kim has ties to other acts of vandalism at Tesla facilities across the country. There have been several similar cases since President Trump put Tesla CEO Elon Musk in charge of the Department of Government Efficiency. Today, investigators sent a strong message to any potential copycats.
There's nothing courageous or noble about firebombing private property and terrorizing your local community. The self-righteous mob that's cheering you on today to commit acts of violence on their behalf will leave you high and dry and forget about you tomorrow. And at the end of the day, you and you alone will be held responsible and face the prospect of a lengthy prison sentence.
The FBI has launched a new task force aimed at cracking down on vandalism aimed at Tesla. And last week, Attorney General Pam Bondi announced charges against 2 people accused of targeting Teslas here in the West. One defendant is accused of throwing Molotov cocktails at a dealership in Salem, Oregon. The other defendant accused of trying to light fires at a Loveland facility in Colorado. Both of those defendants could face up to 20 years in prison if they're convicted. All right, we shift gears now and let's talk about a big day for sports fans across the West. 4 Major League Baseball teams are playing their home openers, including last year's World Series champions. In San Diego, though, the Padres, they were celebrating a home opening win today. They beat the Braves 7-4 this afternoon. Images on social media show the opening day excitement at Petco Park. Today's game opened a 4-game series against Atlanta. And now we go to Los Angeles, where last year's World Series champions, the Dodgers, they just won their home opener a short time ago. They kicked off a series against the Tigers to start the season, and many Dodgers fans already feeling pretty confident about winning another title.
It's my first time, and so it's something that I thought was a little bit overrated in the past, but it's awesome to be here, especially after winning the World Series last year. All the excitement around the team in the offseason, it's amazing.
It's vibes. Like, this is what it's like to be a Dodger fan, to be an LA native, is to be here opening day to enjoy the game. World Series win, like, there's nothing better.
It's home, dude. I'm from Orange County, but when I come here, it's home, dude. So I'm diehard forever. So it's
from the OC.
Even from the OC, dude. I don't hate the Angels, I don't, but no, I bleed blue.
The family has a hierarchy of who gets to come to the game. My wife, our eldest daughter, our youngest daughter, and then our son. If one of those 3 can't join, my wife or our daughters go, then our son gets to go. And it filters down to our grandchildren, son-in-laws, daughter-in-law.
And tonight's final score in Los Angeles, 5-4 in favor of the Dodgers. In the Pacific Northwest, the Mariners just minutes away from their home opener against the A's. Here's a live look at T-Mobile Park in downtown Seattle. First pitch set for 7:10. Tonight's matchup is the first regular season game for the A's since leaving Oakland. They are playing their home games in Sacramento until their planned move to Las Vegas in 2028. The Arizona Diamondbacks kicking off the season at home, taking on the Cubs. Here's a live look at Chase Field in downtown Phoenix, where that game is getting started soon. Fans started heading to downtown Phoenix early this afternoon. A lot of businesses had the misters going, trying to keep people cool. Temperatures in the Phoenix area topping 90 degrees this afternoon. The heat, though, wasn't a distraction for fans who were laser focused on all the buildup and excitement before tonight's game.
Vibe, just everybody ready for the season to start. We've been waiting since playoffs to get back to the first pitch, so that's what we're here for. That's why we're here hours early.
This is our first season as Advantage members, so we're just looking forward to coming to a bunch of games.
And having a good time. It's been great. 2 years ago, it was super since we made it to the Road Series. 2001, we made it to the Road Series. So hopefully this year we'll have another chance to make it. So because we got great players, great pitchers. So hopefully as long as everybody stays healthy, we should be good.
And it's not just baseball that has sports fans buzzing tonight. College hoops fans have descended on San Francisco for March Madness and the Sweet 16. Chase Center was packed with visitors and locals on hand to cheer on their favorite teams. Eric Carr and Gary Austin are from Arkansas. They had talked about attending the NCAA tournament for many years and bought tickets to come and watch the games in San Francisco before they even knew that their Razorbacks were going to be playing.
No, didn't know it. I looked it up and I called him. I told him if we win this next game, you know where Arkansas going to be at? San Francisco. He couldn't believe it.
The fans say they plan to see all that San Francisco has to offer and stay in town all the way through this coming Sunday. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a new approach to protecting homes from wildfires. Tonight we'll tour a new neighborhood being built here in the West that is being built to withstand the flames if there is a fire. Also, we'll check in with car dealerships bracing for President Trump's new tariffs next week. They say customers will see more than just higher prices.
Hey, Alex, let's head on over to Sunset in the Seattle area where we do have rain still falling. The complete forecast with your West Coast Wrap as the news continues. We'll be right back.
In Washington, community groups are calling for the release of 2 union members arrested by ICE. Alfredo Juarez is being held in federal detention in Tacoma. He is a Mexican citizen and a farm worker advocate. Fellow advocates say he came to the United States as a child. ICE did not say what charges he's facing, but federal authorities say Juarez will remain in custody pending removal proceedings. Also, University of Washington lab technician Llewellyn Dixon is being held by ICE.
He's been here over 50 plus years. Like, you would think that being a permanent resident is protected.
Dixon holds a green card. She was convicted of embezzlement over 20 years ago. Her family was told by immigration officials that that conviction could be the reason for her detainment. Now to Phoenix, where car dealers expect to feel the effects of newly announced tariffs on imported cars and car parts. But as Fox 10's Brian Weld tells us tonight, there's one segment of the auto industry that may benefit.
The tariffs are expected to go into effect on April 3rd, so a week away from today. Cars, trucks, along with auto parts, and that includes American vehicles assembled or partly assembled in other countries.
Kicking the tires could set you back a bit more and delay repairs if and when tariffs kick in. More than half of all auto parts come here from somewhere else.
Car parts are not going to be available. Why? Because most dealerships are going to say, all right, I usually carry $1 million in inventory, but I don't know what's going to sell. I don't know if the consumer is going to want to buy it. So I'm going to go to $250,000 only and hold off. And when they come in and I don't have it, sorry.
None of us are 100% sure what it's going to mean, but it can't mean that they're going to be less expensive.
Tim Hovick is the owner of Santan Ford with a direct line to Detroit. Like everyone, he's scratching his head over what this might mean, but warns potential buyers to buckle up.
Clearly, there's going to be additional cost to manufacture vehicles, and based on that cost, I don't think it's a good scenario for consumers. I don't think it's a good scenario for the auto industry.
Something like half of all cars and half of all auto parts are imported to America. And Tim says any tariffs on aluminum and steel won't immediately help the auto industry either, not to mention the overall economy.
When the auto industry is healthy, our economy is generally very healthy. So obviously I've got skin in the game, but I'm concerned for the big picture as well.
On the other hand, auto mechanics should be in big demand. It's usually cheaper to fix the old car than to buy the new one you can no longer afford.
But you know the very few freeways we have to catch one bus, to catch a second and third in the middle of summer at 110 degrees, doesn't make sense. So holding on to the car makes the most sense.
You could avoid the tariffs by buying a used car, but that would likely increase demand and lead to higher prices for used cars as well. In Phoenix, Brian Webb, Fox 10 News.
A homicide suspect is in custody tonight after leading police on a dangerous high-speed chase across the Las Vegas Valley today. That suspect was wanted for a deadly shooting this morning at the Aliante Casino in North Las Vegas. Officers began pursuing the suspect after they carjacked someone a short time later. Police say during that chase, the suspect carjacked a second driver and then crashed into a bus stop, leaving one person at that bus stop in critical condition. A driver at that crash scene says they're grateful they survived.
I was in the turning lane right here on Boulder and Tropicana, and boom, that's it. It just crashed. My bags deployed, and it just surprised me that I put my seatbelt on. And if it wouldn't have been on, I wouldn't be here.
Las Vegas police have not identified the suspect who is accused of carrying out that lengthy crime spree today. All right, we turn now to our weather. And recent storms here in the west dumped a lot of hail in the Pacific Northwest. We talked about it last night on the show as a possibility, and obviously it materialized. Images posted to social media show pea-sized hail coming down in Port Angeles, Washington last night. For more, let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Roberta Gonzalez, who is tracking lingering showers in that part of the Pacific Northwest. And you also have the forecast for the rest of the West Coast. Hey, Roberta.
Absolutely, Alex. And hi, and good evening, everybody. I just want to share this with you because if you were looking at the definition of an area of low pressure in the dictionary, that's what you would see. It's absolutely beautiful. This is the core, the center of the area low pressure. The tail is just whipping against that northwestern quadrant of the state of California. So all the action is really inundating Seattle all the way into Portland. At this particular time, we're still seeing, look at that. That just popped up. That happens to be severe thunderstorm wind damage that did occur near Deer Park in Spokane, Washington. And we have this now, this box area. This happens to be in Mason County, and this is in Shelton, which is around the Olympic Peninsula region here, just about 20 miles outside of Olympia. And this is a flood watch that's in effect through Saturday. So more rain is in the forecast for that particular area, the Pacific Northwest, and we'll have a little bit of sunshine, but not until Sunday. So here's the bands of rain and even some sleet that continues to fall in throughout the Siskiyou Mountains, backing through the Cascades. Seattle, typically this time of the year, you should be in the low 50s, but your high temperature was 60 degrees, and that's even with a quarter of an inch of precipitation. Meanwhile, San Francisco average high 62. You banked on 61 degrees with 5/100ths of an inch of rain. Check this out. Phoenix, you should be at 81 degrees. Boy, 93 sweaty degrees there today, but that's going to change by tomorrow. And look at the ribbons of clouds overhead at Santa Monica, just about 10 miles outside of downtown Los Angeles, where it was 68 degrees, coming in shy of the average high 72 degrees. Other notable numbers, it was 75 degrees today in Fresno. How about Palm Springs at 86 degrees? Tucson checked in just shy of 90, above average for this time of the year as well. And a pair of sixes right there at the state capitol in the state of California. So again, there you have that big, beautiful area of low pressure wrapping around the Pacific Northwest, traversing in an easterly fashion, taking its rain bands with it. So we'll gradually begin to see a little bit of clearing around that northwestern quadrant of the state of California. We'll call it partly sunny, backing all the way through San Francisco. Could open up with a little bit of a spotty, scattered shower in the morning hour around the Bay Area. Otherwise, we do see a few increasing clouds in Southern California in the 60s. And to the north of us, temperatures will stay in the 50s with more rain rain showers and 80s around Las Vegas, backing through Arizona. So here you have the forecast. Again, temperatures coming down in Arizona and Phoenix, right where they should be for this time of the year, into the 80s. Make it a great Friday, everyone.
All right, Roberta, thank you. Prosecutors continue piling on the evidence against Brian Kohberger, the man accused of murdering 4 college students in Idaho. And as Fox's Shira Matsuzawa reports tonight, the defense says there's just not enough time to review it all.
Prosecutors told the judge they intend to introduce receipts from Dick's Sporting Goods showing that Kohberger bought a black face mask like the one worn by the tall, thin intruder described by one of the victim's surviving housemates.
Kohberger bought the mask in January of 2022, 10 months before the stabbing deaths of Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Just last week, the prosecution revealed proof that Kohberger went on Amazon to buy a K-Bar combat knife and sheath. A K-Bar sheath was under Madison's body, allegedly containing Kohberger's DNA on the snap. And the mask wasn't the only major development to come down today. Prosecutors said they will also introduce a paper Kohberger wrote in forensics class while studying for his master's degree at DeSales University. It's titled Crime Scene Scenario Final. And the scenario involves a woman who has been stabbed to death in her home. In the paper, Kohberger gives step-by-step instructions on collecting evidence and documenting the murder scene. Quote, the deceased woman in her living room. Specific shots should be focused on the evidence of harm on her body and clothing, the bruises on her face, the marks on her neck, the bloody shirt, and any other signs of postmortem lividity should be photographed. Is there any sign of forced entry to the home? If there is not forced entry, it may be suggested that the woman knew her killer. The 12-page paper mentions many of the same methods used to identify Kohberger as a suspect in the killings, such as collecting nearby surveillance footage and recovering genetic material. Quote, I should make sure to swab under her fingernails to see if the DNA of the offender is there. She likely dug into their skin. The prosecutors say they want to admit the paper because it shows the defendant's knowledge of crime scenes and how investigators search for clues to build a case. These new disclosures are a response to a defense motion that the prosecution has buried them under terabytes of evidence in the form of documents and raw video files, and there's not enough time to sort through it all. Attorney and legal analyst Ann Bremner says if prosecutors don't narrow that pile of material down and fast, it could result in a major win for Kohberger.
They started out by saying, we can't get ready for trial. We don't have adequate descriptions of what their expert's going to say, what they're going to rely on, etc. I bring that up because in Lori Fallow-Daybell's case, the doomsday cult mom, a failure of discovery by the prosecution was why the judge took the death penalty off the table. That's a key in this case.
Kohberger's next court hearing is April 9th. The trial is scheduled to begin in August. In the newsroom, Shira Matsuzawa, Fox 13 News.
Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, after more than 40 years in Park City, Utah, the famed Sundance Film Festival will be relocating. The other mountain town here in the West that will soon start hosting the popular event that celebrates independent films. Plus, we'll show you what home builders think may be the key for neighborhoods to make it through wildfires.
We knew we needed to do something that would be safe. We needed to understand how it worked. And I think all of the people are learning from this.
If you play the lottery, get ready to pay more. Beginning next month, the price of Mega Millions tickets will more than double, going up from $2 to $5. For some, that's just too much to spend.
Like $2. I'm going to be honest with you, but no, $5 is absolutely too much.
I get it. I totally get it. Everything's going up. The price of eggs, the price of milk, the price of gas. Got it. We totally hear that. This wasn't a function of inflation.
The group that runs the lottery says the odds of winning something will also be going up, though, from 1 in 24 to 1 in 23. They also say the higher cost for tickets will create bigger jackpots and put more money back into the community. The new ticket prices go into effect after the drawing that happens on April 4th. And you can play Mega Millions in all West Coast states except Alaska, Hawaii, Nevada, and Utah. Tonight, 10,000 jobs are being cut at the Department of Health and Human Services. That's about 12% of the department's staff. And here's a breakdown of what that could look like. Roughly 3,500 jobs will be lost at the FDA, which inspects and sets safety standards for medications, medical devices, and foods. 2,400 jobs at the CDC, which monitors infectious disease outbreaks and works with public health agencies nationwide. 1,200 jobs could be cut at the NIH, the world's leading public health research arm, and 300 jobs would be lost at CMS, which oversees the Affordable Care Act marketplace, Medicare, and Medicaid. Health and Human Services Director Robert Kennedy Jr. insists essential health services won't be affected. Tomorrow, California Senator Alex Padilla will join a delegation of senators traveling to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. They're expected to conduct oversight of the ongoing Defense Department activities to support Homeland Security in the relocation of migrants. The senators will be getting a firsthand look at Guantanamo operations and examine the costs and military readiness impacts of these relocation operations. Builders in Southern California are creating an entire neighborhood with homes that are specifically designed to be resistant to wildfires. Fox's Max Gordon takes us on a tour of this first-of-its-kind community here in the U.S.
This is Dixon Trail, the country's first fire-resilient neighborhood. So what makes a home fire-resilient? Well, the first thing you're going to notice is that 5 feet from the homes, there is nothing that is flammable. This fence right here, it's made out of metal. This downspout, also fire-resistant. And then the garage door and the windows, they're sealed up and resistant to heat. The roof of this home, it's actually made out of concrete, and all the roofs of these homes are made out of Class A fire-resistant material. Now, the reason why this is all important is that because we are in a high fire danger zone here in Escondido, California. In fact, this entire zip code is in a high fire danger zone. In all, KB Home is going to manufacture 64 homes in Dixon Trail, and each one of these homes starts at a little bit over $1 million. And they say that this is going to be essentially a big experiment.
Wildfires are just a way of life, unfortunately, in California. So we knew we needed to do something that would be safe. We needed to understand how it worked. And I think all of the people are learning from this.
This is all based on standards from the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety. They have a facility in South Carolina where they shoot embers at homes to test out different materials for fire resilience. IBHS also goes out to the aftermath of fires to see what types of homes survive, and they apply these lessons into their standards.
Probably the biggest piece that we see is the 5 feet closest to the home. When those 5 feet can absorb the embers that fly, you give them a fighting chance. But know that when 1 or 2 homes do it right, if they're on the windward side, they'll actually defend an island of homes back behind who maybe didn't do it so well.
And fire safety is high on the minds of Californians. This development comes as residents up in Los Angeles County begin the rebuilding process after the devastating Eaton and Palisades fire. In Escondido, California, Max Gordon, Fox Business.
Finally, tonight, the largest independent film festival in the U.S. will be moving to a new home. Today, the Sundance Institute announced it's moving its annual Sundance Film Festival to Boulder, Colorado in 2027. The festival has been calling Park City, Utah home since 1985, but organizers say they have outgrown Park City. Have a great night.